years in this regime, and previously Aaron Cheriot, accepted a very major thing. He said that there has been illegal borrowing, and he attributed it to the Uhuru regime period. Thank you, Aden Duale. The assertion we've been making about ODS debt. Now, if that is the case, why does this regime pay for illegalities? The only reason you are paying for those illegal debts that you are claiming exist, and make note, these illegal debts have been even mentioned by the Auditor General, by the Controller of Budget. The only reason this government of yours is still paying those illegal debts is because you must be accomplices. You are together in that illegality, and if not, prove to us that you're not by stopping to pay those illegal debts you are claiming were done by Uhuru Kenyatta. Cut them off today, Bwana Duale. Cut them off, Bwana Badi. Cut them off, William Ruto. Cut them from this budget instead of coming to charge us more taxation through the finance bill. Kindly cut them off to prove to us that you are not part and party to those illegal debts that you claim were taken during Uhuru Kenyatta's period. There's something else Aden Duale said. He said that this regime of theirs, under William Ruto, is not taking illegal debt. And this comes to my fourth point. If you look at what is called the budget revenue estimates, which we are going to circulate copies, those copies are going to tell you that in those budget estimates, according to Article 220 of the Constitution, they constitute the revenue estimates, the taxes the budget is going to collect, the grants and the loans that they wish Parliament to pass in this coming financial year. If you look at them, and we are circulating these copies, you will find there is an aspect called domestic debt, domestic loans, domestic borrowing. In the budget statement last week, CS Bandi said that they are going to borrow 1.03 trillion in the domestic market this coming financial year. I ask you to look at the page, the table of contents of those budget estimates before Parliament stipulate as net domestic borrowing at page 24. When you go to page 24, you will find there is no net domestic borrowing number. It does not exist. It is zero and has never existed. Even in the previous years, if you look at each column, has never existed. So this claim of domestic borrowing being legal, it is not. It has never been. It is never passed by Parliament. And you are doing it again this year. So there are two things I would like to stress, apart from the illegality. One, that we know this domestic borrowing does not exist, and there's nobody really that is taking this domestic debt to the tune of 7 trillion. There's no such money in the market. This is fake. Number two, anybody that is now going to pretend that you are buying treasury bills and bonds in this next financial year, no, it is not anchored in our laws. It has not been passed by Parliament, and you will never be paid. This is odious to Kenyans. We are not sovereign to it. We will not pay you. Buyer beware. It is your risk. I'm telling you, that paper, you will throw it in the dustbin, because this regime will change, and it's going to change next year, and it will not be honored. I advise you, and I advise all Kenyans, do not buy a treasury bill. Do not buy anything to do with treasury bills or bonds. They are fake, completely fake. The fifth point, I just have 6 points. The 5th point I want to make is I saw a comparative so-called budget you put in the media, the people's budget. I don't know people's budget in which people. Because my colleagues, and I will say they are my colleagues because we are in the opposition, led by Kalonzo Musyoka. They call themselves the United Opposition. Came out with a people's budget. They claim a people's budget. And that people's budget is not too dissimilar to John Bundy's budget. It is about tax, debt, and borrowing. He even proposes the same illegal borrowing, domestic borrowing of 500 billion. Please, Kalonzo Musyoka and my good colleagues, stop letting us down. You're letting us down. Do some basic homework. You cannot continue the same things. You are just doing the same thing as Ruto. There's no difference to what you're proposing. What you're proposing will not change people's lives. Please do some homework and stop letting us down in the opposition. This is not how you're going to conduct the people's affairs, because people are truly in trouble. So, shape up a bit more. And please get that message with the way it deserves, because I mean it with goodwill. I don't mean it in any other way. We are talking about 60 million Kenyans that are having a very hard time. A very, very hard time. So the 6th is very simply this, that we as Safina have been very clear about our budget. Our targets are very clear. We are saying we will never borrow again, and we are not going to borrow from the domestic market because we will not need to. We are going to very clearly not pay this odious debt that you can now see the Ruto regime is claiming to be illegal. We will not pay it. Hiyo hatutalipa. In the year 2027-2028 financial year, it is going to be 2.8 trillion in debt payment. We will not pay it. And because we won't pay it, it means our taxes will be cash rich by 2.8 trillion. When you're cash rich at 2.8 trillion, there's so much you can do for Kenyans. The first thing we are going to do is ensure that primary school, high school, and TVET, the capitations to the standard of living of that year shall be paid. We have estimated that to be just under 400 billion shillings. We shall pay it from that money we are saving from paying debt. So no parent shall take from their pocket money towards primary school, high school, or any TVET program. We shall talk about universities later. The second thing is that we are saying we shall scrap completely, SHA, NHIF, or whatever other health levies that are put on Kenyans. Universal health care has been costed at 180 billion shillings per year. So your ID will guarantee you universal health care no matter where you are without any payment from your pocket. That is the Safina government. The third, and this is fundamental, we shall scrap VAT in total as a tax. We shall seek to scrap VAT and replace it with a simple 5% sales tax. That will become a benefit to Kenyans in their pockets of roughly 300 billion shillings back into the pocket. With just those 3 measures, we intend to inject roughly 800 billion as a stimulus to be kept in people's pockets. They do not have to remove it anymore. And we are hoping that that will spur a growth that will take us to 6, 7, and hopefully by the 3rd year to 4th year, 10% growth rate. But the biggest carrot is going to be the fact that we are not going to borrow domestically. When you don't borrow domestically, You free up capital for innovation, entrepreneurs, people who are self-employed, manufacturers, and everybody else to go and seek and get credit. People are capitalized. Creators, content creators, they will now have money accessed at single-digit rates. We hope we can drive it to about 5%. This happened during Kibaki's time, and it's our intention to drive the banks to a single-digit interest rate to Kenyans. That is where I'd like to end. Thank you very much. Yes, Emmanuel. That's three. Number one, Emmanuel, about domestic debt. First and foremost, let Bandi show you in the estimates where domestic debt is. Because in the budget estimates of revenue, domestic debt does not exist. So that he can assert that it is at a less risk than any other debt. Number two, you know our laws say you are to borrow for development. Domestic debt is the most expensive debt you can borrow. So why would you borrow domestic for development? It is averaging about 10%. Foreign debt at most, concessionary, goes for 2%. Whether it's Chinese, whether it's bilaterals, and it is offered liberally. The only risk is currency, and you can do the variations. I can assure you it is less risky, less costly to Kenyans. Because remember, that interest rate we pay from our taxes. So the burden is on us. So he's telling a lie. The third are these things of debt swaps. Those are all good ideas. Samurai bonds, these are all debts. We don't need debts in this country. We are paying illegal debts. We don't need any more debts. And all those swaps, all those things they've been telling us for the last 3 years, they've never happened. Because our balance sheet does not allow it. Anybody who looks at us can see that we are bankrupt. Nobody is going to do any debt swap with Kenya. They've been talking about it for the last 3 years. It don't happen. So let them stop lying, giving us language. You know, we know the treasury's coffers are empty. We are bankrupt as a nation, and that's why they are seeking to bankrupt us as citizens. So, any other question? Yes.